Anti-ICE protesters flooded downtown Spokane last night. Police called it an unlawful assembly.
In the last few minutes, we found out that former Spokane Councilmember Ben Stuckert was released from jail. He was arrested last night in the Spokane ICE protest. He was at the ICE office to protest the detainment of a 21-year-old Venezuelan man seeking asylum.
Stuckert posted on Facebook asking people to protest. ICE officers detained the 21-year-old, who Stuckert became the legal guardian of 3 weeks ago. A group of people blocked an ICE truck, supposedly meant to take that man and his friend to the ICE processing facility in Tacoma. Cars parked behind and in front of the truck. The crowd got even bigger around 7 o'clock last night as more people headed to a planned protest in downtown Spokane. They instead joined the group outside the ICE office.
That is when things really started to escalate. Spokane police deployed pepper balls into the crowd, which explode into smoke and contain an irritant like pepper spray.
KREM 2's Christian Garza is live with us this morning. Christian, you've been down there all morning at the spot where this happened last night. You say things have been cleaned up since you first got there this morning?
Yeah, Tim, Nicole, when I first got here, there was a bunch of trash like water bottles and signs and a bunch of different things like chalk art on graffiti and stuff like that from the protest last night. But as you can see right in front of Bark Rescue Pub, kind of in the middle of everything that was happening here, it looks pretty clean for people driving through the area here on Washington. There's still a little bit of graffiti towards the intersection where most of the people were gathering. But other than that, a lot of the graffiti and all the signs and everything like that have been cleaned up for people passing by. But you know, when it all erupted yesterday at around 7 p.m., there was a ton of people here, police presence here. There was SWAT and police department and the Spokane Sheriff's Office and every law enforcement agency here in the vicinity. But there were also over 30 different arrests being made and people were being charged with misdemeanors, just like pedestrian interference and criminal damage as well. You know, Police Chief Kevin Hall now clarified that those pepper balls that they did use for the protesters weren't being shot directly at them, but rather in the air above them. But it was only because these protesters were not moving after being asked to repeatedly for hours. Now, like you mentioned, the protest itself was in response to ICE detentions, and while the city did not negotiate with ICE, leaders wanted to make it known that throughout yesterday's protest, they worked to de-escalate the situation and ensure the safety of both the protesters and law enforcement that responded.
As the situation continued to escalate and non-compliance continued to grow, we called in tactical teams to provide support for those officers. It's also those tactical teams who provide the chemical munitions that are necessary if that non-compliance grows into assaultive behavior. I can tell you I'm not aware of any assaults that were reported by the officers. Just watching some of the footage, I think technically there were assaults, but the officers used an enormous amount of restraint and understood that the emotion that was behind this particular event.
Now, Mayor Lisa Brown also decided to set the curfew for this general vicinity that I'm standing in right now from 9:30 p.m. last night to about 5 a.m. today. So that's been lifted for about 2.5 hours as of right now. Throughout the press conference last night, the mayor explained that she wanted to give both protesters and community members ample time to get out of the area. Now, the curfew was defined covering areas like Spokane Falls Boulevard, Boone, and Howard Street. But like I mentioned at the very beginning, we're here in front of the Bark Rescue Pub where kind of all the cops and all the different law enforcement and stuff like that were here, you know, trying to block the protesters over here in the intersection of Washington and North River Drive. But they, you know, we were just saying that everything has been cleaned up as of right now, so this shouldn't be a problem for people trying to get to and from the area. In Spokane, Christian Garza, KREM 2 News.
Thank you, Christian. We'll keep checking back with you through the rest of the morning.
Well, Mayor Lisa Brown declared a state of emergency and issued a curfew in the protest area and Riverfront Park until 5 o'clock this morning.
Mayor Brown said she respects their right to peacefully protest and to be upset about federal policies. She also said, though, she has the responsibility to make sure people follow the rules and laws to keep everyone safe. Mayor Brown says she contacted State Attorney General Nick Brown to let him know what happened here in Spokane.
We learned that vandalism was occurring, an incident with respect to the ICE vehicle, other vehicles parked near the property, some vandalism on park property, that the crowd was growing and that tensions were escalating. I made the decision that the safest course of action was for Spokane police, not ICE, to try to safely disperse the crowd.